What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic here on the Odd Shopper Golf channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Best 9 Bets. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you can become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. And last week, you got great content because even without hitting it outright, we had two cracks at it. Kevin Streelman, 200-1. That was beautiful stuff. Would have been really fun to cash that one. JT Poston also finishing T2. Both of those guys tied for second, a distant second at that, because it was a runaway train and we didn't have any part of that train, and it is what it is. But TPC Twin Cities, we had the right mold for it because we went way off the board with Billy Horschel plus 550 to top 20. He ends up converting that ticket, paying for everything across the board, and then some. It also was a 2-for-2 week in the matchup department. Feels bad to pick on Justin Thomas, but we did it with Ludwig Aberg, and Bo Hostler beats the living crap out of JJ Spawn. So great stuff all the way around. Hopefully you were able to capitalize on some of those, just like you've been able to capitalize signing up at BetMGM. And why would you do such things? Well, when you sign up in the video description box below, really good stuff. You're going to get 2 free months of premium Discord. That's myself, Eitan Shander, Ben Raza, all three guys you know and love here on the Odd Shopper Golf channel that are going to be giving you our betting card in all sports all the time. And I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I will be dipping out from Wednesday until Sunday, so I'll be sweating this card with you, that's for sure. But I'm heading myself to Monterey, California to go play a little golf at that little Pebble Beach area, you know. Sounds terrible, right? Yeah, it's going to be awful. But either way, BetMGM, you can fire up your card, check out all the great odds, number of spots that I'm going to identify that have the best odds for every single play over at BetMGM. And, well, that's the name of the game, is finding these best odds. I have the sports book written here. I'm going to give you those in depth. They're going to be on this lovely screen with the help of producer Alicia sitting right there. And then, as always, you can follow along at home on that scorecard below. Again, 9 bets, 9 holes. It's crafty. It's nifty like that, right? It's cool. It's a concept. I did not come up with 9 holes. I came up with the scorecard. Who cares? It's the 3M into the Wyndham Championship. Completely different golf course, completely different setup, completely different grass type. That is a big deal, and it's sad because, well, there's guys I want to bet that I just can't because they're priced out of this golf tournament, and it makes my inside sad. But we're going to get ourselves to it here, starting with hole number 1. Producer Alicia, let's get to the picks. We begin in the matchup department, as we always do, and went 2 for 2 last week. Did pretty well here in the matchup department over the course of this season, winning at about a 64% clip, which is pretty damn good for matchups. And it's not something that I normally bet a ton. Again, I'm usually looking at 2 or 3 matchups and looking where there's value, looking where I think one player is matched up with a player that might not have the same form. I don't even think that that's the case with this play as much as it is, because I do like Benny on the other side. He's even money going up against JT Poston. But I don't like him for this bet. I like the JT Poston side pretty resoundingly. Resoundingly is not the right way of looking at this. But JT Poston coming off of a really, really nice week yet again. He's had really good current form amongst everybody in this field. Second, that T2 we had at the 3M where he gained 4.8 with the putter, 5.4 with the irons. And that's really the name of the game. Getting him on Bermuda grass here very, very shortly. And again, last week was not Bermuda grass, but this is this week. And then we've seen 7.3 at the John Deere, 4.3 at the Memorial. So he's putting better on other surfaces as well. Former winner here. Everything kind of matches up. But his odds are a little bit too short for me to bet him. In fact, Sam Burns, one of my favorite golfers to bet week in, week out, his numbers are a little bit too short for me to go and try to bet either. And I can't even find a number on a Sam Burns outright, a top 20 market. Anything that I want to be stomaching this week, which makes me a little bit nauseous. I'm just going to have to get all my exposure in DFS over on DraftKings. It just is what it is. But until then, I want to be trying to identify these matchups. And JT Poston, he jumps up to the top of the board considering 3 top 6s in his last 4 events. But it's cut into those numbers. But for some reason, against Benny On, who, again, I generally like as a golfer. He's somebody that I cheer for. He's somebody that I think has a very solid setup for... There it is. Just had to find it here again. 4th in terms of strokes gained total over his last 50 events. But the putter, friends, the putter, it's abandoned him in a very prominent way. He's had zero rounds where he has found the ability to gain in terms of putter outside of the John Deere, 2.5. Otherwise, lost nearly a stroke at the Rocket Mortgage, missed the cut. Was flat, lost like 0.1 at the Travelers, missed the cut. 2.5 he lost at the Memorial, finishes 24th anyway. 4.5 at the Charles Schwab. This is not a great sign, and somebody who's struggling with their putter this much is going to run into some very high variance golf. And can he be a supreme ball striker? He absolutely can, but even that portion of his golf game has disappeared. So yes, we had the 3rd at the Genesis Scottish Open, a 23rd at the Open Championship. This golf course isn't going to look anything like those events, and I'm pretty much focused in on strokes gain approach, and I'm focused in on putters. I think that gets us away from somebody who's an off the tee and around the green specialist. It's kind of two separate little entities there, and he's always going to be positive around the green and always positive off the tee. That covers 2 of your bases, but unfortunately, I think the bases that matter most here, the approach, the putter, they're not exactly there on a week in, week out basis the way they've been for JT Poston of late. So, JT Poston against Benny on -130 might seem a little bit steep, but if you win this north of a 62% clip, like I had thrown out there before, you're profiting on this kind of a number. To hole number 2 we go, and, Russell Henley versus Sungjae. It is wild to think that this is as big of a mismatch as what I think it's going to be. And I don't think I'm in the minority of people who think that Sungjae has fallen off a cliff here over the course of this season. He's notorious for wanting to play every single week, which I don't necessarily agree with. When Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer of all time, took as much time between tournaments as he did, it was a strategic thing. And do I think that it probably was to his detriment sometimes when it comes to trying to keep your golf game sharp for all events? Yes, but it's not exactly something that's going to help you out over the course of your entire PGA Tour career when you're already one of the elites. You should be taking some time off, and yet Sungjae just wants to tee it up every single week, or that's what he had done for a while. I think we're running into a little burnout for our guy here. He came off of a 6th at the Players, 16th at the Masters, 7th at the RBC Heritage, and 8th at the Wells Fargo. Since that, miscut PGA, miscut Charles Schwab, 41st Memorial, miscut US Open, 29th Travelers, 24th Rocket Mortgage, miscut Genesis Scottish Open, 20th Open Championship, good job, miscut at the Open. Why was he playing the 3M Open after the Open Championship when it's such a... Well, yeah, because there's FedEx Cup playoff points at stake, and that's what it is. Anybody who's lingering outside of that top 5, top 10 is looking for security within that top 30. They've now reduced it from top 125 to the top 70. It goes from 70 to 50 to 30, and you're seeing a lot better field this week as a result. Stronger field than you saw last week, but Sungjae, he wasn't around for that weekend, lost 2 strokes with the putter, and now I get to utilize him against a rested, ready to rock Russell Henley on his preferred surface, and he's not a good putter over the course of this season. He's lost 1.3 strokes with the putter in his last 20 events, but he's gained 0.5 in his last 5 events. And that's a huge deal for a guy who has been fighting a cold putter and then finds ways of spiking. RBC Heritage, Bermuda, 0.7 that he gained there. 0.2 he gained at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, even in a missed cut, but hey, it's Bermuda, still counts, had sex. Good stuff for Russell Henley here of late, and -120. It's rare for me to, in this head-to-head market, find guys that are going to be minus money that I think are fantastic values that are north of the -115, -120 type number. But that's what you have here, I think, in both spots. We've been identifying like a Tony Finau +195 against John Rahm, and then he goes out and bludgeons him, and it's a beautiful day. That was one time, Mexico Open. But that can sustain your bankroll over an entire PGA Tour season as you're locked in on these things. So I think we just pick on the form of Sungjae with a guy in Russell Henley who's in a lot better state of mind, lot better golf game at the moment. And then he's just an iron spectacular. No words were ever vernacular. 6 at the John Deere, 7.1 at the Open, the US Open, that is, 6.4 at the Memorial. He's been positive with the approach in every event since the Arnold Palmer. That was at the beginning of March, so it's been a long damn time, friends. Fire up Russell Henley to beat up on Sungjae. Weird to say that in conjunction and mean it, but I do. -120, great number to be getting over at BetMGM. File this under things I didn't expect to have starting off our top 20 board, and I bet this is a player a lot of you haven't heard of. correct me if I'm wrong, but PGA Tour rookie Trevor Cone isn't exactly name recognition. Isn't exactly gonna be selling tickets here on the front of PGAtour.com anytime soon. But I think there's still a lot of talent with this golfer, and he does do it a little bit differently than I'm looking at most of my golfers because he is 6th in strokes gained off the tee. What does that mean? It means, unlike a Brian Harmon who can be positive off the tee because he's accurate, this dude bombs the golf ball off of the tee. He absolutely bludgeons it in a very, very real way. And, well, I'm not going out of my way to go play him here at Sedgefield, not a golf course that I think requires any extreme length, but he has a decent enough putter where it's flat. Most of the time, he can gain 5.1 like he did at the AT&T Byron Nelson. 3rd at the Barbasol on the week off where he wasn't over in, the Great Britain. I don't know why that took me forever to think of, but Trevor Cone has had some prominence, some decent results, and even last week finishes 64th at the 3M. He was so far back, still was positive off the tee, flat with the approach, but here's the main calling card. 8.6 and 2.7 strokes gained approach in the 2 previous tournaments, being the Barbasol and the John Deere. If he can gain and put everything together in a prominent way, I can't quite possibly get behind him to win this event at 500 to 1, although part of me wants to put like 0.1 units on it just to hedge out this opinion. But he's 11 to 1 to top 20. Just like last week when we got a little bit crazy, Billy Horschel, a player that I think just has a lot more name recognition than a Trevor Cone, and this is now double what that price was. It's the same thing where there's at least hope. There's at least signs in the data that show things could possibly align for a week. And at 11 to 1, if you play this golf tournament out 11 times, I think Trevor Cone finds himself at least once inside of this top 20 because of that talent off the tee and then having short irons into a lot of these par 4s. He's been positive at the approach. I think a flat putting week could even get it done for him. He's never going to be good around the green. I'm not asking that much, where he's been negative in every single regard. But if he can go out, bomb it, gouge it out with wedges, and make a couple putts and be somewhere around league average, field average in that statistic, this is a player that I think has a very outside chance of capitalizing. And hey, seeing a 23rd at the AT&T Byron Nelson on Bermuda as well doesn't exactly hurt, seeing 5.1 strokes gained in that regard. 3.7 he gained at the Valero, 1.6 he gained at the Valspar. Those are his last 3 times on Bermuda. Throwing it out there, the signs might be there. Trevor Cone to top 20 from the top rope. Now, these odds are a lot shorter than we're looking at for one Kevin Streelman this week. And again, it would have been nice to convert that ticket at 200 to 1 last week, wouldn't it? Yeah, would you agree? I would have been okay with it. I can tell you one thing. I would upgrade my vacation in a very real way for this weekend, but such is life. Kevin Streelman, I mean, everybody was just chasing. It is what it is. 3M Open though, love the stats. 8.9 strokes gained tee to green, 2.6 on the field with the putter. In fact, said I think the putter was going to flip sooner rather than later, and it did. In fact, going back to the Charles Schwab Bermuda grass, 6.2 he gained in that regard. 1.3 he gained at the Wells Fargo Bermuda grass. His last 2 Bermuda grass appearances. So I'm just saying, him and Trevor Cone, I'm kind of trying to identify the same thing where that putter could flip the way that it did at the 3M Open. And hey, Kevin Streelman, I know that it was a different surface last week. I know that you were still positive in every other regard of your golf game, but a second there really put him in a position to possibly take a vault into this top 50, top 70 type territory that you really want to be in to cash major checks for the FedEx Cup playoffs. So Kevin Streelman will ride the form, will ride the hot hand, will also ride what we've seen with the putter of late on Bermuda surfaces. I'm going to be backing him at this plus 340 number, mainly because I find 100 to 1 to not be nearly as palatable a week after 200 to 1 in a much better field, I feel like, at the top of this board. Before we head to the outright market, of course, you got to check out BetMGM, my friends. You sign up in the video description box below if you haven't signed up in your state already. If you got legalized betting, this is a great addition in terms of sportsbook odds. Again, I've been identifying a number of spots over the course of these shows that are at BetMGM that have best available odds. And you can jump between DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Caesars. None of that hurts my feelings. I want you betting the best number every single week. And that requires exposure to a number of different sports books. And hey, never a bad thing when you're getting amazing benefits in addition to trying out another book where you can find some of these best numbers. Those deals being 2 free months of OS Premium Discord, myself, Eitan Shander, Ben Raza, all the guys you know and love on this Odd Shopper Golf channel, coming to you in a premium Discord that you can ask us questions all the live long day. You can hit us up. We're happy to answer your questions. And we have betting cards, not just in PGA, but I have MLB that I'm rocking every single day. If you head to the Odd Shopper channel, you can see on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel, I'm doing Lindy's leans, likes, and locks every single live long day there for MLB. I'll have it for NFL. I'll have it for NBA when that starts back up, because that's going to sneak up on us in 2 months now, too? 3 months? Yeah, basically 2.5 months. But either way, 2 free months of OS Premium Discord. So I'm saying this almost runs you into the NBA season. This will lock you into NFL for an entire month of September. That's great stuff. And hey, we're going to rock in it. That's for sure. But also, get up to $1,000 in bonus bets back in your account when you just try out BetMGM with your first bet. You could bet $10, $20, $50, $100, up to $1,000. If you win, you keep the money. If you lose, you go ahead and get it back in bonus bets. That's a great deal from BetMGM. These books want you to try out their products, so why don't you punish them for it? Check out BetMGM, but please gamble responsibly. It's only if you're 21 and over, and if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. You can also text that number. It's fantastic for anybody who might be needing those services. So please bet responsibly. Check out BetMGM if you are able. And yeah, really good stuff over there. That's all I got for you. To the outright market we go. My longest odds to shortest odds. That's how we do it here. Starting with hole number 5. What's my longest odds play on the board for the outright market this week? It's none other than Sam Bennett. You might be asking yourself, where have I heard that name? Well, pretty much everybody and their dog watches the Masters, and that's where we got to know him, love him, cheer for him. A great story, overcoming, a lot of crazy stuff with his dad passing away early on. And, well, Sam Bennett, 16th at the Masters. We saw him compete, put himself in that final group. I believe it was on Saturday. Ends up playing in some of the most garbage weather of all time. And, well, that was brutal. But 16th at the Masters, your first appearance there. Great stuff from him. He's backed it up with some decent results, but nothing spectacular. 20th at the RBC Canadian, a 43rd at the US Open, a 29th at the Rocket Mortgage, but missed the cut at the 3M and the Travelers here the last couple weeks. But this is a kid. Went to Texas A&M. This is a kid. Played a lot of golf on Bermuda. The Masters, 6th. RBC Canadian, 3.5 he came with the putter. 4.4 at the putter on Kikuyu, which is a close relative, but very distant in a certain way. I just want to point out that the talent is there. And the around the green approach game, I think he's going to start honing it in as he gets reps at the PGA Tour level. He has that kind of dynamic golf game. He's going to be positive off the tee every single week. There are these kids that are drivers of the golf ball, and you just see it and you know it. He'll stay out of a lot of this Bermuda rough. I'm not saying that off the tee doesn't matter at this golf course. We just backed Trevor Cone, for God's sakes. But Sam Bennett will be positive in that regard. I just need to see him start to spike it with the approach, because to make birdies on the PGA Tour consistently, approach combined with putting makes your life so much easier. Especially, if he'd be one of the best players in the world if he had 4 or 5 strokes gain approach type ability here at this moment in time, because the off the tee game is that strong, and the putter, I think, will be that strong as he gets reps. So we have no strokes gain data at that Masters appearance. We have no strokes gain data at the US Open from 2022, but we do from this year's. We do in terms of the Rocket Mortgage, where we saw the around the green game actually succeed for the first time since he's been on tour. I think you want to take a little sprinkle here, 250 to 1, and you don't even have to make this a half unit, you can make this a quarter unit. You can make it 0.1 units. Anything to get yourself exposure to a player like a long shot in this regard. Again, you don't have to make it a half unit play like me. I'm getting aggressive. That's the name of the game. Finding spots, and you want to be early to the party. You're late to a Kevin Streelman, the juice is gone. You just saw 200 to 1. I would have loved to capitalize on that. 100 to 1, can't possibly put it on the card. So here is our long shot, 250 to 1, Sam Bennett. get that little goatee rocking, my friend, on the weekend. Would be fun to see him in contention. Oh, and that's on FanDuel Sportsbook. The hole number 6 we go, and in fact, the first 3 plays in the outright market, all best available over on FanDuel.com, and a staple of the betting card. Somebody that didn't bolster their profile by their play last week, that's for sure. Austin Eckroat. Yes, Austin Eckroat, 25th in strokes gained total amongst this field in his last 50 rounds. 32nd tee to green, 42nd with the putter, 26th in terms of overall scoring. I'm telling you, Austin Eckroat is a player I've had my eye on for a long time out of Oklahoma State. Had multiple players that I'm familiar with, that I'm friends with, or on the Korn Ferry Tour that have played some championship amateur golf back in the day, who talked about Austin Eckroat having everything that it really took to be that grinder. And he really jumped out of nowhere, 5th at the Corrales Punta Cana in the middle of a bunch of missed cuts. But since then, a 2nd at the AT&T Byron Nelson, Bermuda, gained 7.3 with the putter. 16th at the Charles Schwab, Bermuda, gained 1 with the putter there. We're talking the Memorial, 30th, 10th at the U.S. Open, a really huge outing considering he lost 2.4 with the putter. Was one of the best ball strikers in the field, if not the best ball striker. And then the Travelers, 5.6 strokes gained with the putter there as well. It hasn't been as good. The 3M Open goes out, misses the cut, but there was water lurking everywhere. He had a couple in the water, 1.2 strokes gained off the tee that he lost, 2.4 he lost around the green. Rocket Mortgage missed the cut there. Genesis Scottish Open. It was kind of wild to see him go from Detroit to the Scottish Open 2 weeks later and then come back to the 3M the next weekend. Not ideal. He did have 2 weeks in between on each one of those, but obviously just getting in the rhythm of being on the PGA Tour for the first time in his career. This is his rookie season on the PGA Tour. So I find him to be somebody who just has a very it's a pronounced upside for a player who comes off of a miscut. I'm just going with the pedigree. I'm going with what I see. I'm going with the numbers as well, because approach plus putting plus around the green game, if he matches all of them up, he's another one of those guys who is generally always going to be positive off the tee with his ability to crush it and be accurate. So Austin Eckroat, 100-1, a nice addition to the card. Hole number 7, and you probably knew this one's coming if you've watched my videos before. Eric Cole, hello, hi, my namesake. 3rd in strokes gained total amongst this field over his last 50 events. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. He played at the 3M, gained 4.4 with the putter, gained 3 with the approach, lost off the tee and around the green. He's always going to be one of those guys who loses off the tee, does not hit it anywhere, but he has such a ridiculous short game that I don't give a shit. And he finds ways to hit his approaches really, really close. He's always gaining with the approach as well. It is very rare for him to be losing with approach or around the green or with a putter. You do those things well and you play a golf course where I don't think there's any trouble that's really lurking off the tee anywhere. That's got to feel pretty good to know that no water that's really lurking off the tee here at this event. A great golf course that I think sets up well for his skill set. He grew up down in Florida at Bay Hill, where he practiced and played alongside Sam Saunders, who's Arnold Palmer's grandson. We're talking a guy who has a ton of familiarity on tough golf courses and easy golf courses alike, and specifically Bermuda grass. He's unfamiliar with a lot of these events on the PGA Tour because, well, this is his first go around, one of those elder rookies as well. But similar to an Austin Eckroat, I just like the profile in terms of what he can do with the approach, around the green, putting combination. And then obviously Austin Eckroat's just a lot better off the tee. But we're talking 70-1 here for Eric Cole, a player we've been backing a lot of late. He's been knocking on the doorstep at times, 6th at the RBC Canadian, 5th at the Mexico Open, and that obvious 2nd at the Honda where he lost to Chris Kirk in a playoff. So Eric Cole keeps putting himself in contention. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. 70-1, happy to be putting him on the card. I'll take my I don't even know what I'm saying. Hole number 8, everybody. We're going to Whiskey Rye, baby. Aaron Rye, the Englishman, sitting here at 40-1. And it is wild to see a number this short, but OddsShopper identified this as one of the top plays on the card. And who am I to argue with a market-based approach that also combines some stochastic projections on our end that also have Aaron Rye popping? Well, it's because this approach game could be that unbelievable. 6.7, 8.2. That's what he gained at the Rocket Mortgage and the RBC Canadian with the irons alone. And he's been positive with the putter and around the green and off the tee in his last 4 events that we have strokes gain data. The miscut at the Genesis Scottish, don't even know what happened there, don't even care. But the 3M Open finishes 20th, gains in every category. The Rocket Mortgage gains in every category. RBC Canadian gains in every category. There's the Travelers in between. He lost 1.3 at the Travelers, still finished 24th, excuse me. But he averages 2.8 strokes gained with the approach over his last 10 events. That is dumb. That is stupid. And 0.7 he's gained in his last 5 events with the flat stick. So what are we missing here? 40-1. A player who's won on the DP World Tour, European Tour, once upon a time. Just saying, Aaron Rai, nice to see another year under his belt. And now going back to a golf course where 71st, not the best appearance that we saw last year by any means, but I think the talent is there. There's no denying that this is going to be somebody who also has win equity. Why not now? Why not make him that mid-range 40-1 play? And plus, I can't get myself to bet Sam Burns at his number. I can't get myself to bet some of these guys who I would like to be betting and have on the card. So I'm playing the math. Aaron Rai at 40-1. Feel like he's a good mid-range add to your card as well. And the final hole of the day, hole number 9 here for the Wyndham. I am not going to be betting Hideki Matsuyama this week at the shortest odds at DraftKings Sportsbook 18-1, or Siwoo Kim at 20-1, or Russell Henley at 20-1, or Sungjae Im at 22-1. I wish Sam Burns at 28-1 made sense, but I think because of the boom bust nature of him, he's on the outside looking in on the betting card. I might add him late because I'm just a goober for the guy. 28-1, I'm hoping he can move into 30 territory. He is a Bermuda grass specialist, so I want to at least throw it out there. Have Sam Burns on your radar, but there's a player that's 3 cents ahead of him here. Well, I mean, it's pretty 30 cents. $3 difference. There we go. Couldn't think about it in my brain. It's late out here trying to get this done for you before I head on my vacation, but want you to be adding Denny McCarthy to the card. He is like an auto add with his current form and with what he's capable of doing on a golf course where putting required, he's the best in the world at it. 6th at the John Deere, 7th at the Travelers, 20th at the US Open, 2nd at the Memorial, miscut at the Charles Schwab, 29th at the PGA, 8th at the Wells, 19th at the Valspar, 13th at the Players. You see what I'm getting at? He's had some ridiculous results. And yes, he missed the cut at the Open. I don't care. Throw it out the window. The Open Championship, especially under those conditions, not going to be anything remotely close to what we're looking at on this golf course. So I know it was a bad week there, but comes back stateside. The Travelers, John Deere, Memorial, US Open, those are some ridiculous results for 4 straight there. Gaining 11.3 with the putter at the Memorial, 5.3 at the Travelers, 6.1 at the John Deere, 8.7 at the Wells Fargo. That's Bermuda grass. Just saying, Denny McCarthy is good at the game of golf, and it's great to see his approach have the ability to spike 3+ shots as well. The around the green game, as long as it's flat or gaining a little bit, you're in a good spot there. And off the tee, not really his calling card. Gained 2.8 and 2 his last 2 events that we have strokes gain data, that being the John Deere and Travelers. So 25-1, he's got better recent form than that of Sam Burns. And I just have to admit it. You got to be practical about your guys as well. So I might add Sam Burns late just because I need to be able to sleep at night is really what it comes down to. But Denny McCarthy, I picked him as the winner. I'm going to stick to it. 25-1. All the signs point towards him being a great play in the betting markets at these numbers that are longer than some players that I don't think, Sungjae, I'm looking at you, are in nearly as good a shape. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Best 9 Bets. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know how your betting card was at the 3M. Let me know what you're looking forward to here at the Wyndham. If there's anything you've identified as a good bet, I love to hear from you. Would love for you guys to check out BetMGM too, just because I want you to sign up at all the sports books. All of the sports books. There's a couple down there. Just sign up for anything because getting the best number saves you money over any long period of time. It is one of the keys to being a fundamentally good bettor. Period. End of story. So find yourself the best odds. Don't just play at one sports book. You want to be getting yourself exposure to other markets because they're competing for your business. Let them compete for it while you bet the best numbers. Sound good? Capiche? Cool. Awesome. I'll be back next week as we're getting into the FedEx Cup playoffs. Gonna be an awesome ride. Until then, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the PGA streets at the Wyndham this weekend.